In the midst of a really daunting heat wave in Pittsburgh, welcome in to Steelers Central. Jarrett Bailey here with you as always. Joining me today, one of the nicest, smartest, and giving guys, not just on the Steelers beat, but across the NFL beat, my friend and yours, Alan Saunders from Steelers Now. What's going on, pal? How are you? It's good to see you.
I can't. There's no way more than one of those could be true. That's too kind of an intro. I'll let the audience decide which is it. Thanks for having me. It's warm. It's warm.
It is warm. It is warm. It's I went outside this morning to take my dog out. It was like 8:30. It's already like 80 degrees and humid. I was like, all right. You and I disagree on some things. We disagree that the Robo Penguin is the best penguin sweater of all time. You hate it. I love it. But we do agree that we would much rather be sitting in like 15-degree weather than 90-degree weather. I think that we park our car in the same garage there.
Yes. I'm actually trying to park my car in like a deep freezer right now. That would be fine.
All right. Today, Alan and I will be going through our 53-man roster projections for the Steelers about 4 weeks ahead of training camp. This is, by the way, July 1st. We're recording this. This is the final month where football won't be on our screens every week until February. So we are getting very close to life being the way it should be again. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm fired up. I turned the calendar page this morning and I thought, training camp. There it is. Mm-hmm. Also, I thought, oh man, I have so much to do between now and then. So it's one of those I'm ready because I'm tired and have nothing to talk about, but I'm also nowhere near ready.
Did you take a vacation yet, or is that something
that's coming up too? So, really trying to get everything I can done before then.
All right. Well, we're going to get this done here so we both don't die of heat. If you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. If you're listening to the Steelers Central podcast feed, subscribe there as well. Follow along so you get notified whenever we drop new episodes. All right, let's dive into it. We'll start with the quarterbacks. The biggest topic of conversation, I guess, would be, do they end up keeping 4 quarterbacks? It's a pretty rare thing in the NFL. I think it's only been done 5 times since 2013. It looked like Cleveland was going to last year, and then obviously they ended up trading away Kenny Pickett, so they ended up with 3. But if you had to guess right now, do they keep 4? And if they don't, who's the 3 that you see them keeping?
The only way I could see them keeping 4 is if someone has a very small injury or something like that they don't want to put them on IR. But honestly, I think they would love to put somebody on IR. So I think any small injury is going to end up with, oh, I'm sorry, what's that, Drew Allar? You have a hangnail? Yep, IR. Great. That's perfect. This solved all our problems. Thank you. No, I don't see them keeping 4. It's just, I mean, most teams are keeping 2. 4 is unheard of. I would be very surprised if that happens.
I would as well. And I guess the second part of that question comes down to, do they keep Mason Rudolph or Will Howard? They drafted Allar in the 3rd round, I think, unless they do go that route that you just pointed out. Like, okay, Drew Allar's got, his ankle sore. We're putting him on IR. But assuming they don't do that, they took him in the 3rd round this year. I would assume he's going to have a pretty safe roster spot. And that number 2 spot on the depth chart would come down to Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. If I had to guess, it would be Mason, just because I don't think they want to go into the season with a 42-year-old quarterback and 2 backups who haven't played a down yet. They have done that before. I mean, Mason was the primary backup the year that Ben got hurt, so there is precedent for it. But do you think it would be Will Howard or Mason Rudolph?
I think they want it to be Will Howard. I think they do want to go into the season with no backup quarterback experience, because that means that Will Howard has outplayed Mason Rudolph to that point. I think he will have to do that, though. Like right now, if I'm making a Steelers 53-man roster, it's Mason Rudolph. I haven't seen enough from Will Howard to say that he's the second best quarterback on this team. I do think he looked very ready in terms of his professionalism, the way he carries himself. He's always been a smart guy. I think he picked up the new offense pretty quickly. So there's a lot to like about Will Howard. The lack of experience is there. I think the Steelers' preference would be Will Howard comes out and looks like the better player, wins the job. But right now, I mean, I would have to give it to Mason Rudolph. And I think they can probably get something from Mason Rudolph if they go down that road. I don't think they would have to cut him.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we've seen them. They got a fifth for Josh Dobbs when they traded him to Jacksonville. I think it would be something similar in that
Pick
ilk.
swap is very in vogue these
Yeah.
days. Trade a fifth, get a fourth, something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're on the same page there. In terms of what you've seen, I wasn't at OTAs this past year. Drew Aller, the progression in the footwork, that's been kind of the big conversation when it comes to him. Really breaking down the mechanics and working with Mike McCarthy, offensive coordinator Brian Angelicio, and Tom Arth. What have you seen in that progression from rookie minicamp up until the end of the offseason program?
Yeah, I mean, it was really starting from page one with him. They broke everything down and completely started over with his mechanics, starting with his footwork. I think it's still very much a work in progress. The footwork improved over the course of spring practice, but it doesn't look good. Like it's new to him. It's all learning and unlearning and that kind of thing. And that's a process that's going to take some time. I think there are going to be some moments. And there were certainly moments this spring where you saw, oh, that's why Drew Allar is a third-round pick. That's why people were actually a better said would be that's why people were talking about Drew Allar as a first-round pick going into his senior year at Penn State. Drew Allar is going to be the ultimate training camp highlight clip player, where the people from the stands that aren't allowed to be shooting video that are going to put 3 plays out there, and you're going to see Drew Allar look like Joe Montana. And then the rest of us are going to be like, well, he was 3 for 85 today, but you only saw 3 of them. So like, it's just, I think the expectation should be pretty low for his rookie year, considering the amount of changes that they're implementing to his passing structure. That is something that takes a lot of reps to really instill in someone. And I think it makes it clear that they really don't want to be playing him this year if they can avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just comes down to, all right, is he going to end up being like Joe Milton, where he has like a massive arm and that's roughly it? Or are they going to be able to actually progress everything else and turn him into a suitable starter?
Joe Milton is exactly that guy also.
Yeah. Joe Milton is like, all right, I can't wait.
I remember at the Senior Bowl, there were like clips of Joe Milton and people were going nuts. And I was like, the pass before that, he threw one that literally landed in the stands. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, like he would stand at like the other 10-yard line and be like, hey, watch this, and throw it to like the other 10. I'm like, my God, that's incredible. And then when they put him in live reps, it's like, oh, all right. Like cool for like 7-on-7 stuff, or if you're just watching a dude throw a ball, but live action, yeah, there's a reason why he went in the 7th round, I think, to New England.
7th,
yeah. All right. Running backs. Also an interesting conundrum, if you want to call it that, with everything after Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren. Do they keep Caleb Johnson? Do they move on from Caleb Johnson? Where do you park your car when it comes to that conversation?
I would say that, Rico Dowdle had a bunch of injuries early in his career. He has been relatively healthy since then. Jalen Warren doesn't miss a lot of games, but spends a lot of time banged up. I think you need someone who can be a backup running back. And I think Caleb Johnson is the only guy on the team right now that I can say, yes, he can do that. The problem with Caleb Johnson is he doesn't do anything else. And that makes for a very tenuous spot on the roster. Travis Homer, very good special teamer, has basically been a non-factor as an offensive player for the last couple seasons.
Yeah, he's been Skoranek at running back, basically.
Yeah, I wouldn't really expect that trend to reverse at this point in his career. Eli Heidenreich, to me, is the wild card. He was a wide receiver at Navy. He's never really played running back. He's never pass protected. Hasn't done a lot of running between the tackles. If Rico Dowdle gets hurt and you need someone to replace 50% of the team's carries, I don't know how right now you could say, oh, that's Eli Heidenreich. Like that to me is just a massive ask for a guy who is coming to the NFL from mid-tier college football and changing positions and is in a pro-style offense for the first time ever. Like that's a lot to ask.
It is. And like with Caleb Johnson, obviously, last year only 28 rushing attempts, and his most memorable play was the faulty kickoff against Seattle. And maybe with new eyes on him and a new coaching staff and whatnot, that helps him. But yeah, I think the the aspect that you pointed out where he doesn't really do anything else, he's not a special teams guy, I do wonder how they decide to go about figuring out this roster spot and where he would fall. How many running backs do you think they keep? Because Nowakowski is going to be just a fullback straight up from it. Are they going to keep 4 or 5, or what are they going to do there?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could keep. I think they could keep 4 running backs. I think they could keep 3. I think you almost have to keep 4, just because you don't have a number 3 that does 2 things almost no matter which of them you pick, right? You have the runner, the receiver, and the special teamer. I think Heidenreich's the real wild card here. Right now, if you had to make a 53-man roster projection, I would have him off it. But I think of those 3 guys, he's the one that has the greatest opportunity to become that more well-rounded player in 2026. Now, it's a big ask, but like, I'm not expecting Caleb Johnson to come out to training camp and all of a sudden look like a good receiver or be some sort of special teams demon. Like that to me feels very unlikely. I think Eli, just because he hasn't really tried any of that stuff yet, you do have maybe the hope anyway that he could come and take one of those jobs. But I would put Johnson and Homer on the 53 right now and Eli off it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Who was the fun receiver last year in camp that everybody was talking about, similar to Heidenreich, right? Smaller dude. I think Max Roman. Yeah, that's who it was. That was escaping me. Okay. Yeah. I think it could be similar to that with Heidenreich. If all goes well, and if he does any better than what Hurlman did, maybe he does get a spot on the 53. We'll see. Wide receiver, I think that this comes down to like one spot for me, because it feels like 5 are already pretty solidified with DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, Jeremy Bernard, Caden Wett, Ben Skoranek. I think all of those guys will have spots. And then it comes down to, is Roman Wilson going to be that number 4? Are they going to explore bringing somebody else in who's still on the free agent market? A name that I would pay attention to would be like a Curtis Samuel, maybe. There's connective tissue with Steelers' new wide receiver coach who came from Buffalo. And would you feel better with Curtis Samuel at your number 4, or would you feel better with Roman Wilson at your number 4? Those are questions that they may be asking internally. I don't know. The only problem with like Curtis Samuel is that I've said his name 3 times now, and I think that caused him to tweak his hamstring. He's very fragile and he spends a lot of time injured. But from what you've seen from Roman Wilson so far, do you think that he's improved vastly enough over the last year to warrant his roster spot is safe?
I wouldn't say his roster spot is safe, but I think he's competing against an outside addition. I don't think anybody on the team is going to keep him off the 53.
Yeah.
Weegan has almost no experience as a wide receiver. I like the profile. I liked what I saw at the Shrine Bowl, but he's basically never done. I think he has like 150 career receiving yards. That's just
he's purely a returner.
Yeah, I mean that's all you should expect. Anything more than that would be bonus. Skoranek, same thing. He's just a special teamer and the backup X because he's a big guy. He can block. Mm-hmm. So those guys are on the team. I think Roman Wilson is too. I'm with you. The question is really, is it Roman Wilson, or do they sign some veteran or trade for some veteran and then maybe, ship Wilson out? I think that's the only question. I think Wilson, I've always thought he could be a lot better than he has been. I think this offense is a worse fit for him than Arthur Smith's offense.
Oh, really?
But I think he is just a guy that a fresh start will help. There was I get the feeling there were bad feelings over the last 2 years that he didn't pan out the way that coaching staff wanted him to or thought he would. And I think he enters the year now without those bad feelings and a really a clean slate to try to impress a new coaching staff. And I think that will be an easier task for him, even though he's a physical receiver who likes to block and hit. And I think Arthur Smith's that style of offense probably fits him better. I think Jeremy Bernard is going to win the slot job pretty handily and gain most of those reps, where if it was the other offense, I think I might say that would be a tougher task.
Yeah, I would agree. And if this doesn't work out, then I don't know if they could. I don't think they could get it. I think he would be cut. I don't think you'd really get much for
I think you
him.
could trade him.
Could you?
Something. I mean, I'm not saying
Okay.
it'd be Kendrick Green got something, man. Like I think
That's true. That is true.
I think you can get something.
What did they get for Kendrick Green? They was traded him to Houston. Okay.
I mean, hey, they've been pretty all right at turning those late round picks into things under Omar Khan and Andy Weidel.
They have. Maybe you send him to the Chargers, reunite him with Jim Harbaugh, and their receiver room is thinner
and
than what
that's
the
an
Steelers
offense
is.
that I think fits his personality probably a little better.
You know what? Maybe they could get something for him. We'll put a pin in that and see what happens. Yeah, I think that, like I said, Curtis Samuel could be a name to watch that they bring in. I believe Noah Brown is still a free agent, and he had his best season under McCarthy in Dallas. So there are guys with connections to the current coaching staff that are still available that they could maybe bring in as that outside competition to see, all right, will it be Roman Wilson or insert name a free agent here? I don't think it'll be one of the big name guys. Like, I don't think it's going to be a Diggs. I would be surprised if it's a Deebo Samuel. Don't think it'll be Keenan Allen. I think it'll be one of those more like depth pieces.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think it's because, I mean, Jawan Jennings, I don't know. That's interesting. But
is he in Minnesota now?
Did he sign in Minnesota?
Okay. I believe he signed with the Vikings. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a lot out there left. At wide receiver that really, and most of the guys are like Tyreek Hill is out there and Stephon Diggs.
Right. I don't. He's not.
Like, you know, I don't know. Yeah.
I would agree. Tight end wise, I feel like this one's pretty cut and dry. I think it'll be Freiermuth, Washington, Robert Tonyan. And then, like I said, Riley Nowakowski's like that fullback / tight end. Would they put him as a tight end on the depth chart? Would it just be a fullback and they keep a fourth tight end? If they do, probably JJ Galbraith then, right?
Well, I don't think. Yeah, I think really this is. I think Nowakowski has a chance to keep Tonyan off the roster.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean he's been in the tight end room the whole spring. I mean, I know they said after the draft, oh, he's a fullback. I mean, you look at the snaps that Mike McCarthy has used a fullback over the last few years. He's usually carried a guy, but he hasn't used him a ton. I think Nowakowski has a shot to say, look, Robert Tonyan can go to the practice squad and be depth from there. I don't really. And you say, hey, if Freiermuth gets hurt, that's our guy. And, you know, we just need Nowakowski to get us through that game. And I think that that makes sense to me. When you look at it, I don't think you can keep counting Nowakowski as a tight end. I don't think you can keep 4 tight ends, 4 running backs, 6 wide receivers.
Right.
So something's got to give somewhere. And I think it's possible that's a spot where you only keep 3 of those guys.
Okay. Yeah, that's completely fair. Do you think it'll be Freiermuth tight end 1, Washington tight end 2, or do you think it'll be flipped?
No, clearly. If anything, I think they'll use Washington less than Arthur Smith did. I mean, they're going to throw a lot more, so they might get the ball more. But I don't think he's going to play the same share of snaps he did. Mike McCarthy's a heavy 11 personnel usage guy.
I wrote about this a few weeks ago, but I think that Mike McCarthy could have been maybe the best thing to happen to Pat Freiermuth this year when you look at the usage of or the success that he's had with guys like Dalton Schultz and Jake Ferguson, the yards per route run that they had with his years in Dallas. I think Freiermuth is the perfect tight end for what Mike McCarthy wants to do, and I think that we should see him see his snaps rise above 51%, which was a career low last year, and get far more targets than he was getting because he'll be on the field more.
Yeah, and they're just going to throw so much more. I mean, I think they will have probably the largest run pass percentage shift in the whole league. They're going to go from being one of the run heaviest teams to one of the pass heaviest teams, and that's going to help all those guys. But yeah, I think Freiermuth is a good shout.
All right. Offensive line wise, how many do you see them keeping? I have 9 on my list. Do you think that number would be larger or smaller?
I mean, I think if you really want to help the skill position guys, you can get away with 8, but I'd probably keep 9.
Okay.
And I think to get to 8, you got to trade somebody.
I was just going to bring that up.
9, you got to cut some guys who are good NFL players.
What do they do with Broderick Jones, I guess, was my next segue here, because as soon as he gets cleared, they're not going to keep him. Like, that's a guy that you could trade and get like some like legitimate value for. Broad's not a top 5 tackle by any means, but he's not a bottom 5 either. Like, he's a quality starting tackle, and there are good teams in the league right now who could benefit from a starting tackle. I will be very intrigued to see how they treat that. He's not in their long-term plans. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. But as soon as he is able to play, I would imagine that they would be looking to ship him elsewhere.
Possible. He could also be their starting right tackle this year. I mean, I don't think that's crazy either. I think the real question is, when he gets cleared, what is his play going to look like at that point? Because, I mean, he wasn't bad last year, but he wasn't great either. Mm-hmm. And if, months off with a neck injury where he's not lifting weights, he's not working out, I don't think he'll have a problem being out of shape, but he's a guy who I think has struggled to maintain his size. Like, he's just not a naturally big dude. There have been times of the year where he was smaller than Darnell Washington. What if he shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm finally cleared from my neck injury, but he's 280 pounds. Then what do you do? Like, so I think there's big question marks there. But if he's healthy and he's playing well, they could start him. I mean, that wouldn't be crazy to me.
If they do that, I mean, is it going to be Brock Hoffman? That is the cut there. Is it Dylan Cook? Is it like who would end up getting slashed from that? Do you think?
Well, to get to, I mean, so you have the left 3, I think are in place. Troy Fautanu, Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier. I don't think we need to worry about that.
No.
And then you've got 6 guys for the other 2 spots. So that makes 9. You got Anderson, Hoffman, and Dunker at guard, and you've got and Hoffman can also play center, and Anderson can do everything, and you've got Itanachor, Cook, and Jones at tackle. To me, that's fine with 9. If you want to get to 8 and you want to keep Roderick Jones, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, that would be hard. That would be very hard. I mean, who would it be? Again, Ryan McCollum, I guess, would be maybe the odd man out there.
No matter what, I think if you're keeping
Brock Hoffman.
Yeah, I think Hoffman over McCollum, but I guess that's
okay.
I guess Hoffman, if Hoffman's nowhere near the starting guard job, then it just becomes which one of those 2 is the better backup center. I don't expect McCollum to be in the mix of guard, but he's a decent center. And Jack Driscoll, who was on the 53 last year. Right. I think both those 2 guys are in. I have both of those guys off the 53 right now, and the 9 we talked about on. It's tough. I mean, that's a couple good cuts there.
Yeah, it is. I like going through this. I had to kind of circle back a couple of times just because I'm at 56 right now, and offensive line was one of the harder ones to kind of project.
And some of you're gonna have injuries. So maybe Broderick starts on the PUP list. Maybe like we talked about a quarterback. Like some of these places that look like problems right now will not by the time we get to August 28th.
Right. All right. Defensive line, deep room there as well. I guess similar question for offensive line. It just comes down to how many do they decide to keep. I have 8 listed. That would be Cam Hayward, Derek Harmon, Keanu Benton, Y.A. Black, Sebastian Joseph Day, Dean Lowry, Asezi Otomowo, and Logan Lee.
Yeah, I think I have 7 on my 53 right now. Okay. But for me, there's 5 guys who are in. That's the first 5 you named, and then there's 4 guys competing for what may be 1, 2, or 3 spots. You could keep 6, as few as 6. You could keep as many as 8, right? And so 1, 2, or 3 of Dean Lowry, Logan Lee, Asezi Otomowo, and Gabriel Rubio are competing for those spots. And I think that's, they're also competing against like the number 5 outside linebacker and the number 5 inside linebacker and the number 10 defensive back to see, hey, how many defensive linemen do we really want to keep? How good are these guys? I think that's a real interesting competition. I put Lowry and Otomowo on and had the other 2 guys not making it, but I think it's real hard to have, like, to me, there's not a lot of separation there.
Yeah, I didn't have Gabe Rubio on mine either. I think that he will be a practice squad guy. But if injuries do happen, I mean, it's certainly possible that he gets called up and, gets a few games in there for sure. Logan Lee's like an interesting case because they took him when in like the 5th round? 6th round. Okay. Didn't play at all his rookie year. Right, was on IR, and has been, more or less a rotational guy who gets in occasionally or just, doesn't make the game day roster at all. Yeah, he's been an interesting case and a constant bubble guy over the last couple years. It's a deep room, so yeah, it'll sort itself out. But yeah, I think that is the line there. I would agree. Is Logan Lee and Gabriel Rubio, if you want to throw in Dean Lowry in that group as well.
Yeah, Dean, just because coming off the knee injury, at
Mhm.
his age, who knows what you're getting. We've seen guys, attempt that and it not go very well. So
Yeah.
I'm not seeing much in OTAs. I want to see some pads on before I say, oh yeah, Dean Lowry's back.
Okay. Edge rusher, I feel like is the easiest group to project. It would be TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, Jack Sawyer.
It's just whether Jamin Davis makes the team or not. Whether they keep 5. But I have the 4 you named. I think that's pretty easy. You don't really need a 5th there.
You don't.
They have.
They have. I don't know. Wasn't Malik Harrison listed as an edge at one point, and they moved him? Or?
He can play there, but he's primarily off ball.
Speaking of Malik Harrison, I mean, I just don't see the value in keeping him. I guess I just think that there are better. I would rather keep Jamin Davis and move him around a little bit than keep Malik Harrison.
I guess Malik Harrison's better special teamer than Jamin Davis, probably. So there's that factor. He also is just a bigger guy. If you really want somebody to go take a fullback on in the A gap, he's probably best equipped to do it of all their off ball players. He's also making $11 million. So
there's no big number.
I think Malik Harrison, the player, is fine for the 53-man roster and would certainly want him there. Can you spend that money better? Absolutely. At this point, though, is there, what do they need that money for? Do they need it to sign Joey Porter Jr. to an extension? Okay, cut him. I'm on board. Yeah. But I don't see an $11 million free agent out there that I want either. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not this time of year. Most of the guys you're going to sign are. I'm sorry, it's not 11. It's only 7. But most of the guys that you're going to sign this time of year are pretty darn cheap. So it's not like you need the money for something else.
Sure. That's fair to point out. I think that's a good transition though into defensive backs. Well, I guess we can talk about the depth here. Carson Bruner, special teams guy. Do you see him getting any sort of bigger role in a defensive role, or is he just still going to be strictly kind of that special teamer?
Unless Harrison exits, it's hard to see him passing him or Cole Holcomb, who are honestly that's the other reason you don't really need Harrison is that Cole Holcomb's a very strong backup linebacker.
Yes.
And so and Carson Bruner looked good on special teams. So, that I think they're good there. And I also expect Nick Herbig to spend a decent amount of his time as the team's sort of third outside linebacker, but he's taking an inside linebacker off the field when he does that. Right. And so you don't need as many of them when you have that situation. I have Carson Bruner on, but I wouldn't call him a lock by any stretch. I mean, he's got to prove himself to a new coaching staff. His resume is not lengthy or it's just a special teamer.
Yeah. Yep, very much so. I guess in the same ilk, do we think that we saw right around this time last year the Steelers make the Jalen Ramsey trade? Do you think that they could do anything else trade-wise? This is kind of a position to circle because with that same team, I mean, you and I have both talked about Jordan Brooks as maybe hey, he's a really good guy, a really good player on a team that isn't really going anywhere this year. And we've seen the Steelers be very trade happy over the last couple of years. I would be okay if they made that move, but do you see any sort of other trade that could be made or maybe is likely to be made?
In terms of guys coming in, I think free safety still looks like a position that is wanting for me. But yeah, I think linebacker, that would be the thing about Jordan Brooks is that he's not really a long-term guy, at this point in his career. But the linebacker position is very unsettled. I would not call Peyton Wilson a sure thing going forward. I think they still have really high hopes that he becomes what they wanted him to become when they drafted him, but he certainly hasn't been that yet. Patrick Queen appears that he's going to play out the last year of his contract. So, I mean, I think I would be looking, if I was them, for the kind of deal that's going to solidify one of those two spots going forward. If I was trying to make a move, I don't know that Jordan Brooks does that. He certainly gets them a little bit of an upgrade in 2026, though.
Yeah. Valuable point. All right. To the cornerbacks. We'll start with Joey Porter. Do we think a deal gets done before the season starts?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it not getting done. He's too good. Honestly, I feel like his deal is the easiest of them to do. There's no one else they have to sign to a contract that you can say there's absolutely no reason to think this guy shouldn't be a starting corner for the next 5 years.
Right.
Like you can't really say that about Darnell Washington or Nick Herbig. They haven't done it. You can't say that about Keanu Benton. You can say that about Joey Porter. He's the one guy that's like, yep, want him for sure. No debate. So I think it'll be, like, people are talking about, like, well, why isn't it done yet? I'm like, well, because most of the time on July 1st, the Steelers haven't talked to a single one of their current players about a contract extension yet, and won't for another 2.5 weeks. So no rush.
What do we think the number comes out to? Do we think it is in that $30 million range? Do we think it's a little less, a little more?
I would expect it to be between 25 and 30 million. I feel like those are the sort of upper and lower bounds of what he could get. And it'll probably just depend on the length of the contract and the amount of the guarantees. Like, some of those deals that you're like comparing his to have very wide spreads in the amount of guaranteed money.
Yeah.
That really like skew what the total really is.
How much was Stingley's in guarantee? Because didn't he get like a ton of guaranteed money?
So he has, I think he's one of the guys that has rolling guarantees. So he does have some guarantees that are not like the total guaranteed at signing amount. But so his was a 390 and then 48 of that was guaranteed at signing. So half, more than half of 90 was guaranteed at signing. And then he has the rolling guarantees after that. But I think it was Sauce Gardner, who has, I think his was for 120. Yeah. But he only had 40.5 million guaranteed at signing. So when you look at, okay, you know, those
the
are
total possible value is higher, but the guaranteed money,
$30 million average contracts that the real world value is very different.
And I think that what you think would hold up anything, is just trying to sort out the guarantees.
It's just about what the player wants and how you can make that fit into the Steelers cap. You know, does he want to be the highest paid corner in the league? You can make that. Like, the Steelers could do a deal with Joey Porter Jr. that would make him the highest paid corner in the league on average annual value. That would still be a good deal with the team. It would just mean it would be very low guarantees. You're paying him $32 million a year on a 4-year deal, and you're only guaranteeing 38 of it. Okay, fine. I'll do that. On the other hand, you could do a fully guaranteed deal and only pay him 20. You know, like, so. But the actual sort of comparable salary range, it's not tight. Like, $5 million is a pretty decent spread. That's a lot of money to argue over. It's my salary for the rest of my career and then some. But like, they can't be that far away. Just because, like, you just compare Joey Porter to the guys on the list. You're like, well, okay, even if he's not as good as Stingley and Sauce Gardner, he's not that far from those guys either. And you don't get very far down the contract list before you're like, well, he's clearly better than those guys. So it's really not that wide of a range, even though it is like some money spread.
I would agree. Like, I would take him over JC Horn, and you know, JC Horn's making good money right now. Like, Pat Surtain just got a raise. Like, I think he's in that group, certainly, of, you know, the top 5 to 7 corners in the league, and so he's gonna, you know, rightfully want in that range of salary. So I agree, though. I think it will get done. It's just a matter of when, not if. But the cornerback room as a whole is deep. I mean, they brought back Asante Samuel. They signed Jamel Dean. Brandon Echols, when he was called upon last year, did very well. And they drafted Dalen Everett in the 3rd round. I think the bigger question, which Patrick Graham has kind of touched on with Jalen Ramsey, is where is he going to play? He's a little bit of everywhere, probably at nickel, outside, safety. If you had to guess, would he be more of a, like, what would be the spot that he spends the most time at?
Nickel, I think, by far. They don't have anybody that looks to be better than him there. and I think he's a more natural fit there than a free safety,
Mhm.
where they also don't really have anybody that looks like a better fit than him. But they do have Jaquan Brisker, who has some experience. I think you'll probably see Ramsey play free safety in the base defense, and then as soon as they bring in an extra DB, he moves down to nickel.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the safety spot is tricky because of Jaquan Brisker, Deshaun Elliott, I feel like are pretty similar guys in terms of what they do. The question there kind of revolves around Deshaun Elliott because he had the 1 year in Pittsburgh where he stayed, pretty clean bill of health, but outside of that, injuries have been a nag for him, and we saw that play out last year. And then Darnell Savage and Sebastian Castro behind those two guys. Like, that's a position I would like to see them address if they can with a trade of some sort. I don't know. I don't think there's any like other notable safety that you could bring in that's like miles better than Darnell Savage. I could be missing an obvious name. But if they were to upgrade that position, I feel like it would have to be via trade rather than free agency.
Trade or somebody, or poaching the waiver wire. Somebody who gets cut by somebody else. I think that those are the two areas I would be looking at there. Unless you really want to, like, the thing about free safety is what you really want is speed. So, like, usually what's left on the free agent market this time of year is old guys. Like, we saw them go down this road last year with like Chuck Clark, and like, forget it. Like, I'd rather just play Brisker, like, or Ramsey. Like, the thing they don't have is someone who can stand back there 12 yards off the ball and cover sideline to sideline and be like, hey, he's the center fielder. And that role needs speed. So I think and Sebastian Castro isn't really that either. I mean, I think Castro, Savage, Brisker, and Elliott are all best deployed as a strong safety. And really, Robert Spears-Jennings, who does have that speed, 7th round pick, maybe he finds, I don't have him on the 53 right now, but like, that to me is a very clear path, and that's a wide open role. And if he shows that he can play, I'd be putting him on over like Savage, for example, where I think they have much more depth at strong safety.
If he does show anything, I would agree. Like, keeping him over a guy like Darnell Savage or Sebastian Castro makes all the sense in the world. If he is able to showcase an ability to play at that spot. So I would be on board with that. Hopefully they get something out of him, because like you said, there isn't really that ball hawk, and they haven't had that, really, I guess, prime Minka. And they've been lacking in that spot. So time will tell. I think we've covered every major position. I don't think we got to talk about kicker or punter. I think those are pretty solidified.
They only got one of punter and long snapper. They do have two kickers, but you're not going to not keep Boz.
Right. Cameron Johnston coming back, though. I was so happy to see Cameron Johnston come back. One of my favorite guys to talk to in the locker room. Always very nice. So I was happy to see Cameron Johnston come back.
He's that Aussie where it's like, it's nice and he's smiling, but also, he could kill you.
Oh yeah.
Which I kind of love. When he had that leg injury and he was like hopping along with this like Terminator looking like exoskeleton on his leg, because he just shredded his leg, and he was like, yeah, it's fine. It's I can't do an Aussie accent, but it's just downplayed all, that'll be all right. The sort of classic, like, boy, that guy's tough as nails. I'm a little surprised they don't have some kind of competition for him on the roster, just because he didn't. I mean, he got cut 3 times last year. Like, it's not.
He did.
It's not what you would say like a slam dunk move. So I don't know. Maybe they will bring that in, but maybe right now he's the only punter.
That he is. Wearing what, 19?
Yeah.
Few guys look good in 19, and I think just with the Steelers specific jersey font, it just doesn't look good.
But I think if for a punter, that's fine. Nobody cares what.
Yeah, that's fair.
As long as you're not wearing like 62.
I was just about to say, I want him to wear an obscure number then. Just wear something god awful.
Well, Laith Margin, who's the backup kicker, is wearing 34.
I don't love that. Yeah, that's not good.
It's not good at all. Kickers, you got to either be below 20 or over 90. Those are the only choices I support.
I'm all for the obscure numbers for like position. Like, I don't want like a Devin Gardner situation with a quarterback wearing 98. I think that's atrocious.
That's although it's like a thing at Michigan, so I get it. But like, no, don't do that.
Don't do it. All right, buddy. I appreciate you very much. What can the folks check out from you at Steelers Now over the coming days and weeks?
Yeah, we're rolling out our All 90 project, where we do a deep dive on each of the players on the 90-man roster. So take a look for that. And just go check out my podcast, Steelers Afternoon Drive and Steelers Morning Rush on the Steelers Now YouTube page or anywhere you find podcasts. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive.
And Alan is also
Cook on yesterday. I think we got some more players coming on, so check it out.
Nice. And Alan's also part of the project that we're releasing at Behind the Steel Curtain, ranking the top 30 greatest Steelers of all time. That'll be rolling out very, very soon. Thank you for being a part of that, by the way. Very happy to have you on board as it. There were everybody that I reached out to was like, okay, how far back are we going? And I told everybody the same thing. It was like, your discrepancy. If you want to include everybody from, the 40s, 50s, 60s, that is your choice. If you prefer not to do that, then do it. So I'm excited to see, like, especially near like the middle to bottom of the list, what guys make it, which guys just miss the cut.
I think I only put one guy from, maybe two guys from before the Super Bowl era on my list.
I think you are right. I'd have to go back and look and check, but
I know Ernie Saunders on there. There may have been one more pre-Super Bowl guy, but not very many.
Yeah, and a lot of really good panel to have with you, Todd Haley's on it, Donnie Tedrick, Joe Starkey, a lot of just really good folks in terms of the Steelers beat and just being in the Steelers sphere. So I appreciate everybody for being part of that. That'll roll out soon at Behind the Steel Curtain. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you are watching, again, on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. If you're listening to the Steelers Central podcast feed, follow along there, leave a comment, do all that good stuff. We will be back next week right here on Steelers Central. Take care.